Okay, so I'm gonna go over some things I didn't go over with very well. The first thing is in the editor, I didn't tell you to hold your middle mouse button down to move things. This is how you would move your thing that I told you to move up to it. You hold the middle mouse button down to do that. Alright, that's just a simple thing that slipped my mind to say as I was explaining things. But I also didn't talk about the sound. When you don't know, let me show you how you find out. Since I don't know at the moment, even though I've done this before, I don't remember. You go into your script and see where it's looking for that sound for the vehicle at. Right here, data vehicles, Landini. Okay, so let's go back to the farm sim, data vehicles, Landini. I didn't think it was actually in the brand name. I thought this was just for the script, but I guess it's been a second since I've looked at the original script for something like this. Landini. It's got a sounds folder. We're just going to copy this folder. Copy it, go open the mods, and oh, nope. Open the Landini, paste it in here. So now that I have that here, let's say I wanted, I still haven't told this where to find it at, but that's fine. I'll do that after I try not to lose my train of thought. It's hard when you've been sick. Mine slips a little bit. I think I'm going to use it like John Deere because I know it's a diesel, but I could put a big truck motor on it too, like one of the Mack trucks or something. Just for an example, I guess. Where's Mac? It should be like, okay. We'll use the Anthem. It's a sweet looking rig. And I'm going to copy these two that are in the folder here. I'm going to go back to my Landini folder in my mods. Shouldn't have clicked on that one. In my mods here. I'm going to paste them right here for now. Which is... Did I not copy both? Wait a let me undo that copy. Let me do it in here so I'm not confused. Did I not copy this file as well? Okay, I did. So, this is the easiest way to do this. This is the sound that it's looking for here. So I'm just going to use the same name. I copied its name. Normally, I did this in the other folder so that when I deleted it, you know, I don't know, didn't still need it for something. But since I've already copied its name, it's fine. I'm going to copy this one's name. I'm going to delete it and change the anthems to that name. Now for this, you don't want it to search in the data vehicles anymore. You want it to find this folder. And to do that, whoa. It wants the XML. So you want to right click this and you want to copy as path. Okay. And then after the $sign there, just paste it up to the XML point. It's going to give extra quotations. Get rid of that. We're going to remove that $sign. I don't think it needs it. Not for this. There it is. Yeah, it didn't need the $sign. And I guess it does only need the sounds and then where it is. And I haven't adjusted his hand or anything like that. So everything still looks as jank as it did before. But you can tell it definitely has the Mack truck sounds now. Very simple little thing. All I did was copy it. You know, I did the sounds thing. It's pretty much it, and it's done. You don't ever have to mess with it again. Just make sure you have saved your file here before you close this. But if you were going to go through and change colors of things that you wanted to, you would basically make sure that you have your material editing here. If you don't see that menu, like if it's gone, let me just get rid of it like I don't have it myself. That way I have to find it now, right? It's right here, material editing. You can add whatever window you get rid of or whatever at any point. You can also just drag it down to get out of your way while you're just focusing on like these important index paths while you're doing your script for each part. However, in the LODs that, you know, I happily got rid of on the other vehicle, for something like this that you want to decorate out and everything, this is going to be your interior stuff. But each one of these, it has a slot name here. And to learn what each one is actually tied to, you click on your color scale and you slide the slider up to change the color to see what is in here that's red now. Okay? It's this little thing on the AC thing in this, for this. So you would label this, if you wanted to know what that icon was, AC right here. You would scroll this down if it had a slot. It doesn't. So that's all it has for that. But I know there's more interior stuff. It's probably here. This one has two different things. One of them is probably this yellow seat here. Is it? It's not the seat. What's green? This on the seatbelt. No? Something? Well. Bad example. Okay. It changed the color. I just don't know what. Maybe I should have clicked on this one. This one had a better chance of changing the seat. So this is your seat color here. So you would label this seat. All right. And then you go on to the next. I always hit enter and it dings at me. You don't have to hit enter ever in this program. It doesn't like it. I just have a habit of doing that. Change the color. This is for the panels in here. As you can see, all of that stuff is tied together. If you wanted it separated, you'd have to export this itself into Blender and individually separate these parts and then export it back out into this so that you could have more customization options. But I mean, you could pretty much label this as your interior panels here. Go down to the next one. This is for the buttons on the switches. If you wanted to label that, you could. I'm not going to. I don't really need to. For one thing, I'm not going to actually use this build right here. This is on the seat buckle right here. Like, there's that much detail on everything you could change the color on that they should just have in the game if you wanted it. This is probably, yep, it's that. Seat belt itself. Probably turn around. This is probably the floor pan. Yep, floor pan. And something you have, your headliner will have one. I don't know if this does. This is for the levers on your deal there. Basically, though, on something like an LOD or for your interior or your exterior, that's how you do that. Like for your exterior, you would come out here, find which one is the main body. Let's get a look at it here. It's not that one. It's probably, this is probably something. Okay, so this is the hubs, probably attached to the grill as well, because that's all a piece. So like some vehicles, you know, it's going to change the color to all that stuff at the same time. You don't have to combine it. Most of the time you're going to wish it was separated, but that's the body there. So you'd label this body. And then this is the trim of the body there. You would label that so you could change that individual color. And this is the other part. So you would have It's going to be ugly, but that's the red one. That's the green one. And then this would be blue. So that you can tell there's 3 different colors here. Very hard to look at. But basically, if you labeled all these parts like that, what you would do in your script, because you want to now be able, you want players or yourself to use this in game to be able to change body colors. So basically you would want in your configuration for the materials on the slot names you named under your foliage bending, that you probably don't have anything under that other than the wash, clean, whatever thing, like this right here. You'd want to start it like this. Your design color configuration right here. And the truck actually has this, the bigger truck, not the smaller one. And you can take that and then change the names and keep going to many configurations as you need to include all the different things. As you can see, I have 3 things that change colors at the same time with that. And each one's a color. Now, this isn't the way you do it to have different labels on every single color. Like this is the dash, this is the body panel. I don't know how to do that. But doing it like this right here, starting it like this, base color configurations with this title. And this, right, the slot name is like what I said inside your model that you labeled what the dash was and everything. That's what you would put there. The exact name that you used in quotations so that the game looks for that file. And then on your ending of it, design color configurations. I mean, maybe you only got 1 or 2 you want to do. You don't have to do like as many as this one particular one has on the Wander, but if you only had like 2 or 3, that's all you would need. And then it would go to your washable thing or whatever. But basically each wood you go, you add the number higher, obviously. In case it's not obvious, I'm telling you now. And this is what I talked about, use default colors true. This is what you want when you want all the colors to be accessible in the game, in the store, when you're trying to paint something, like the wheels or something. Instead of having a set, or if you wanted a set color, you would do it that way, where it could only go through like the way I did the rims here. On the material template name, I did, each of these names right here is actually a color. It's related to a color that the game recognizes. All right, and that stuff I came up with myself, that I just took from the game. I didn't take this kind of configuration from any other vehicle, other than I kind of already kind of knew how to change rim colors, because that was like one of the first things I just knew from over the years. It was about as in depth as I ever went in this, pretty much. And there was another thing. So I showed you how to switch the sounds and everything, because I told you that you could copy the motor or transmission into another vehicle, okay? So for instance, if I took the 18-wheeler's motor and threw it in to the little cart, or like to the lizard truck, for example, it would run and shift like that, but it wouldn't sound like it. It would still have its same effect. So what I'm trying to be clear about is taking the motor and transmission from this is basically just its tuning, its programming of how it shifts and accelerates and everything. It's not the sound itself. The sound itself, you would need to do what I said at the beginning of the video, where I talked about sounds and how to copy it. I mean, I would tell you how to use the tool if I knew how to use it. I don't even have it installed right now, so it's not something I've messed with. But there's a sound tool that Giants has on their site, and maybe there's a README file that'll tell you how to use it or something. So it might be more self-explanatory than I could tell you, or maybe they've labeled how to use it. But I just kind of wanted to go over a quick video of what I know how to do, because I know there's people that want to know how to do some stuff, maybe not everything, maybe just customize a few vehicles for themselves, you know. in their own game. And that's just kind of, I mean, I wanted to put something out that gives you an idea pretty much how to do that. If you're having trouble with Blender, because I did when I first got Blender, I couldn't get the add-on thing to work properly because I couldn't see the menu for the community or whatever. Like there's tabs that it says to go to in the preferences. The way I did it is I downloaded an older version of Blender, and then I had the tabs or whatever it was looking for. But apparently it was already installed the right way. I just didn't know. I wasn't clicking on the little arrow, I think. So I was thinking it wasn't installed. So I probably could have used the latest version. But when I was trying to follow a video of how to install the exporter, I have no idea what I just did. Let me just new. You probably thought I was joking when I said I didn't know how to use Blender and I was just doing things in it. That was simple stuff, really. I wasn't really doing anything but taking things away. It's not hard to delete stuff. It's hard to create stuff or like design something, especially a whole vehicle. That would take time. And it's nothing I've ever done in Blender. But this little arrow up here, I probably had it on my new one. So like if you installed it the way it says installed it and you didn't know how to get to your exporter after you have something, this is where you export and your file location. Because I didn't really go over this probably too clear. I was trying to get into the build and I kind of skipped explaining this whole exporter thing for someone that doesn't know anything. So this part is just going to be about that, I guess. You want to find where your game is installed. That's what the game path is looking for here, the game location. You have to do this every time. It's not going to remember it. It does not remember your game path. So every time you got a new project in here that you want to export out as an i3D to use in Farm Sim, and you have to come and put material stuff on your vehicle or part, like whatever you're working on, trailer, I don't know, something, whatever you're using, you want to put a color on it or something. And like I said, there's a way, and I need to find out. I don't know if I selected the color scale and I picked just plain white, but I exported a body out and I was able to change the colors on it. So like I said before, I know it can be done. I just haven't took the time to figure it out again. This is not something I need right now. But I'm sure if you really wanted to, there's probably information somewhere. Or you could just trial and error to see what works, what you could get to work. But pretty much when you're done having your material on, you got it looking like you do, you just hit apply, go back over to your export. You export it out into whatever you put here. So you would put what file or folder you want it to go in. You would name it set ID3 file. It exports it out. You go out from here. I'll leave this open for a second to see what that new model looks like. And since I didn't even create nothing, I don't got to keep it open. But then you open up that folder that you just created and you opened up like, what is it? Let's say like, I think this was just a little black square thing that I was going to turn into a little TV screen for the XUV, and I never did. But say you made your thing here and now you see it here. And I'm pretty sure I couldn't change the color to this either. It may be because I don't have maps attached to it. It's using this shader source. I could probably change this. I mean, because it didn't give me all the other extra slot, which is only one solid piece. It shouldn't have two different pieces. This is all one. If you had divided your thing up into two different, I guess, configurations there or whatever you want to call it, layers, you may have more than one slot color, you know, for something like that. I've really only talked about going a whole solid body thing. I didn't really break apart everything in too much detail, even though I did go into a lot of detail of what you need to do for the process of tearing something apart and building it. You really don't have to do that if you don't want. You don't have to throw a body of something else on there. You can just fix up what's already in the game. Like with some tuning and stuff like that. It goes a long way. But basically, when you have this, whatever color it is, you could change how like shiny it is by these controls right here. But that's about all you have as far as that goes. And like this is a base tutorial thing, so it's like a base model setup. Everything you learn from here on should be on your own, and like with tinkering with things. Because I'm just trying to lay a foundation of like, this is how you should try to get into it if you're trying to mess with it. And basically you would save this, and then you would open up whatever you're going to put it on, like your vehicle and stuff. Because when you have your vehicle, because say you got to the last part of it, and now you have your vehicular here, and you want to add something else, but just know that whenever you add something to your list here, you're most likely going to throw your numbers off on the script on your i3Ds and have to do the whole script thing again, and this is still going to crash because it doesn't like what I've done here. But I got it done, so there's that. But yeah, just remember that, because and always use the program reader thing where you can hit the tile key while you're in there and see the script running at the top as it's loading in to see the red error codes. That's also very helpful to know. I mean, yeah, but if you got the editor, this is the main thing you need, obviously, is the editor. And then you can just pretty much, since it has this on it now, where you could just pick a new mod from game and pick a vehicle or attachment. Because if you scroll down, it has the attachments here too that you could use. And at the very, very bottom, it has maps. And you could take either one of these maps and do what you want with it. I won't go into all that. That is a video for, like, I don't want to say the name wrong. Bauer Brown. Yeah. Bauer Brown here. His YouTube channel, he does all the tutorial for that way in depth, way more than I've probably even explained the vehicle thing. But for the map building and stuff like that, and using Blender and everything, I guess you kind of need to know a little bit about Blender, but I think he's even got tutorials on that. But someone like that, or someone that's got like a bunch of other tutorial videos for map stuff, I'm not going to touch map stuff on my channel. That's not something I'm going to do ever. I wasn't going to do the vehicle things, but I seen a lot of things on Reddit when I posted when the new editor had released, or for this game. There were so many like upvotes and comments on people asking questions about mods and stuff like that. And I basically just said I can't really touch anyone else's mod, because there's things that players want in the game from the other farm sims. You yourself could update it so that it would work with FS25, but you should not be uploading it publicly as your release or anything, because you didn't make that mod, and you shouldn't be claiming it like that. Now the people that made it and stuff, if they get around to it, they will update their stuff, and everyone will be able to use the stuff again. So just be patient with stuff like that, or create your own thing that you're trying to get back in the game. I mean, it's best to know how to make stuff yourself, and then you don't have to wait for someone to release something always. Now, there's going to be people that release things that are way better than, anything that I would show, or anything that you yourself may even come up with. There's some really awesome modders out there. So there's always going to be amazing things. This is just to try to show you some stuff you can do yourself to help the game, because the game is not in the best condition at the moment. Playing wise, I mean, there's money issues with it, with things don't really make a good profit. There's issues with tools glitching through the ground and everything every now and then. It's laggy a lot of times when you start it up. It's not a perfect going contraption, okay? Now with my blank map, pretty much, that I just built the mountains on, and the sand dunes and the mud pit and everything, that map kind of doesn't really lag or anything, but it doesn't have any buildings, it doesn't have any traffic, it doesn't have pedestrians. It only has like a bird. I think there's only 2 animals in the game, a bird and a deer. And it doesn't count like the animals you can get, the sheep and everything, because those are in pens, and the horses. But the only animals the game has like in its world flying around freely think it's a deer and a bird. Just two things. That was all I seen in the game files. I was like, well, that's interesting. I mean, but their maps are kind of, they're kind of like in a small little area of like what you could have out of a map. It's very condensed in a way. I mean, it depends on how good of a processor and everything you have to be able to run a giant map, because you might get some lag issues once you start extending out times 100, without having loading in the next area, your own thing, if you're on computer. Okay. I mean, the only thing I can tell you is how to set the Giants editor up itself. I don't even remember what it asked for. It probably wants to know wherever your game is, if it hasn't found it. The studio path, which I don't even use this. I've opened it before. It's like a debugger as well. Kind of like, I guess, how I debugged that thing. I just don't know. I mean, you could probably read this document. You should probably read the documentation. Okay. I think I might have read it once. I don't remember. It's not how I learned anything, but I probably could have learned things if I would have read it. I mean, it's not something I've had to use. If I ever run into it where I need to use the studio, I have the editor linked to it so that I don't have any issues, I guess. But whatever it does, I'm unaware. I don't know if it's working in the background, and that's why I can change the colors and everything, and it memorizes it. I don't know. It does something that I don't see. There is one last thing I did just remember. When I was in the sounds, I should have talked about how you can edit. So, like, for the little truck that I built there, and I used the Anthem's sounds, it has the backup beeper thing. You could delete this. Then when you go in reverse, it doesn't have the beep, beep, beep. If you wanted to remove that, maybe you wanted the beep. Also, you have your volume scale here for the indoor cabin rumble. This rumble isn't really the sound of the engine's rumble. It's the sound of the rumble of the tires on the ground, I'm pretty sure. Because I think I did turn these numbers up, and you can try it yourself to see for yourself. Maybe it's different for you. But to me, I think it was from what I remember, it was like the gravel and stuff, like the ground, the way the ground sounded in there. That kind of rumble. Not like exhaust rumble. But the fans, a lot of times they'll be way too loud, so you'll want to turn this number down a little bit so that the fan isn't too high. And hopefully I didn't push a 5. Yeah. Got my hotkeys all mixed up, man. I need to get my little deal set up again. But anyway, the volume scale here is for the transmission. And that's the pitch scale of it. Transmission. There's normally a motor one. Engine volume scale, yeah. So you could turn this up a little or down if your motor was too loud or too quiet. Right, so I just needed to go over that. This is just the effects of the rain on the vehicle, what it sounds like, because those sounds are also tied into this file here. So basically, it kind of says what everything is, and you can kind of get an idea of what everything does there. And that's it. That's all I had to say for that.